And when you recognize that person, you take it off and tell them to pass it on to somebody else. The idea being that the one wristband would spread throughout the entire community. We gave out 2,000 in fall 2008, and since then, I think there's about 40,000 numbered wristbands that have traveled worldwide. In the past year, there's now 1,120, I think, actively carrying stories on our website from all 50 states and other countries. So the movement really has spread through a green wristband, through this idea of just recognizing people for the good things they're already doing. So today we came to share our Virginia Tech spirit and the actively carrying movement here in Chardon, and what we found is that this is something this community already does, and this is just about sustaining that community for a longer period of time. Interestingly enough, to Dr. Geller, yes, because the process was all about safety, and green had to do with safety. So when he coined it and when it was about workplace safety, that's something that obviously stayed with it, because it's moving from industrial safety to school safety to compassion, and that's now the color of kindness.
Right.
After we gave the assembly, all of the students stood up and gave us a standing ovation, and that was probably the best feeling I've ever had, because it reminded us that other people connected, and that's what it's about. It's about connecting at that individual and interpersonal level. And if all of us connected a little bit more, maybe the world would be a better place.
The psychological principles of it, it's kind of a science, and like we study that, and we practice it too. So the coaches who are here, they've been trained, and they bring actively caring to the middle school students, and it not only works with the students, but it also changes the coaches in the way that they relate to people in general, the way they recognize actively caring every day, and then it also changes the teachers. So it's like a ripple effect. Like the coaches come in there with the understanding that this is today we're building a foundation. We're making relationships. They know all the names. It's like they've known them for years. They know all their personalities, and they were just with them for 3 hours. In September, we're coming back. And when we could say that, we were just like, okay, we'll see you in September. Like, and up until that point, we're going to take the strategies we developed today, put them together, see what we can do. This challenge is really what 416 was for us, and Virginia Tech met that challenge. We actively cared for each other every day, but it's hard to maintain. So with Chardon, they too lost that sense of control. Like they couldn't have predicted it, and it's hard to know what to do next. Like the sense of belonging, the seniors graduating, and the summer coming. Like, it's terrifying. And a week after the shootings, we were on the phone with those excellent, just extraordinary people, Casey and April and Kate, and talking about how we could go there to help basically. Or recognize that they are actively caring for each other too, just like we had, even though they were low, and even though they had this tragedy, and that if they can actively care for each other, then they can continue to actively care for their community and be a model, because they're just incredible. Those students are just, I've never seen anything like it. I can't believe there's a whole community of them. Like, they should be everywhere, but they're going to lead it.
I think that people are willing to display compassion all the time if we give them the opportunities, and I think Sophia has a story that certainly demonstrates that. And the girl came up to you.
Oh, yeah. Adam, one of the students there, was showing us the table in the cafeteria, and he was asking us to sign it, and it was pretty hard for some of us to... It was pretty hard, and
the table where the shooting took place.
Because people have been signing, and he asked us that he had reserved a spot for us to sign it. The school was still in session, and some kids were walking through the hallway, and I was just like, I was crying, and right when I turned the corner, this girl must have seen me for a split second, and she just said, "Are you okay? Do you need a hug?" And like immediately too, I was like, yeah, and like we hugged, and I was like, what? That never happens, but they do that. And I told her, I know her name, and Alexis Jones Hodges, and I'm excited to see her in September. I gave her a wristband, and she was like my best friend. It was incredible.
Maybe there's nothing more powerful than seeing an actively caring behavior itself. After our presentation, to see every single person stand up and to recognize us, that's when we knew that this is a community that is like no place other than maybe Virginia Tech. And I think that's what we saw, is that both Virginia Tech and Chardon showed the world what it means to actively care for one another. And if the rest of the world had communities where people did this all the time, maybe everything would be better.